They are casting their problems at society. And there's no such thing as society. There are individual men and women, and there are families, and no government can do anything except through people. And people must look after themselves first. It is our duty to look after ourselves and then also to look after our neighbors. These are the words of the late Margaret Thatcher, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And while old Marge is resting in a hole somewhere, her words are still relevant to the discussion we're having today. Because in an era where we are discussing and speaking of responsibility and accountability, it is necessary that we discuss our place in the web of societal responsibility. My name is Fabian Vasquez. I'm a senior level political science and economics student from the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley and a political commentator on the soon-to-be-released podcast, Podcasts on a Hill. And today, I'm going to be discussing responsibility and accountability in society. Because it is until we all take responsibility for the issues inherent in our system by looking out for each other, no unified progress or any progress will be made. My presentation will be focusing around three distinct points. 1, that we have a responsibility to one another. 2, we already take responsibility for the actions of others and people that are in our immediate vicinity, and we are not doing enough to look out for one another. It was the modern-day philosopher T.M. Scanlon who asked, what do we owe each other? There's this unspoken contract that exists between all of us. The young are cared for by the old, and the old will be cared for by the young in their old age. This is referred to as contractualism, and there's no clear-cut words that say this, but it's simply understood. The earliest of human settlements existed with the old caring for the young and the young and strong caring for the old when the old could no longer care for themselves. And this extends into things that we don't really think about because we care for those that are in our lives. But as a society, you can frame this differently to see how we view the world. When the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl sometime in the 90s maybe, Texans would say, we won the Super Bowl. When Nazi Germany was destroyed, the Soviet Union says, we won the war. Well, why don't we take responsibility for the poor that we have? Why don't we take responsibility for the sick? And the fact of the matter is, we do this to some extent. In old age, we are guaranteed Medicare and Social Security to an extent, on the understanding that those who are old and feeble will be more sick and less able to provide for themselves and need the social framework to take care of them. Firefighters and emergency first responders exist because people get hurt, and while monetary cost is factored in later, it shouldn't determine whether or not somebody gets aid now. Even food stamps and SNAP benefits are built on the understanding that some among us are not able to provide for themselves, and it is we, the individual, who must come together to provide for those that cannot. It was the philosopher Karl Marx who said, by each their own ability and to each their own need. So if we take responsibility for these very certain things that we all collectively deal with, and we take responsibility for things that we collectively experience, be it the Great Depression, be it mass unemployment, then are we really being responsible? Are we as a society being responsible? Because for all these things, there's one pervasive issue that we still have yet to address. Police violence is the 6th most common cause of death for young black men in our society. Even though African Americans make up only 16% of the total population of the United States, as a total they make up 30% of the total prison population. And the United States, only 7th in the total population of people in our country, we are number 1 in the most number of people imprisoned. And to this day, as of today, black men, poor men, experience violence from the police state in a way that no other ethnic group does. We won the war. We won the Super Bowl. We win the Olympics. We are responsible for that. Every single time an innocent black man is killed, it is our fault. Every time a person in this country starves to death, it is our fault. Every time somebody is falsely imprisoned and convicted, it is our fault. So if we designed this system to take care of us, why doesn't it take care of all of us? And what can we do to make sure that it does take care of us? Because right now the flaws in our system are clearer than ever. And it is not because these problems are getting worse. They were always there. The only difference is the cameras are rolling now. As Margaret Thatcher said, it is first our responsibility to take care of ourselves before we take care of others. And this is rather individualistic because it implies, well, what do I get out of it? What do you give me? When I think the question we need to be asking ourselves is, what do we owe each other? And right now, at this very moment, at the very least, we owe each other our attention. And you can be prepared to give somebody that attention and to hold people accountable and to be a witness to what we are responsible for as a society by going to action.aclu.org and receive instructions on how to download a recording app onto your phone. And in the event you see any violence against a person of character by the police, you pull out that app, you start recording, and the video, once you stop recording, is uploaded to the ACLU database and will be there forever, even if your phone is destroyed. And let's be honest, they're probably going to stop your phone if you're recording them doing something bad. We live in tumultuous times. Things seem to be getting worse. And it will only be when black and brown lives matter that all lives matter. So when Margaret Thatcher says there's no such thing as society, that there are only individuals, and that we must take care of ourselves before we take care of others, I harshly disagree. Because as we are entitled to certain things in our society that we already give each other, at the very least we are entitled to each other's safety. We owe each other safety and peace of mind. And no lives will matter until Black lives matter.